So let me take you through the project settings for the cable installer. We're going to start with the Projects and Reports button, and this is where we'll type the customer, the site name, and this is where you'll save your project. So if you have to come back to the project and recall it and recall your settings, this is where you'll do that. We'll also want to set our cable type. So you can see that there's some templates already set. For example, the one highlighted Cat 5e, shielded twisted pair, that's the name of this cable test. And the settings you'll see over here on the right. So here's the name. You can see that we're going to, this template is set to 1 gig. It's a shielded cable, and we're going to ignore the crossover cable for this test. So when we set the current type, then that one is what we'll be testing to. So if we come over here to the cable label, you can see that our current type is Cat 5e that we just selected, and then you'll see all the different parameters. So this is a really powerful tool for setting up multiple cables if you're doing a larger project. Everything that you see green will be included in the name of the cable over here when we create the cables. So I've set it up for a mall. This is the east building, and you can see all the parameters, and I'm starting with ID 1, and I'm going to have it create 5 cables so that you can see those get added. And I can change the number of cables that we add, and then everything in the green will be part of the cable name. So you can see that I just created those cable names for the cable type that we selected, and so this will be my project, these 5 cables. So when I come over here to the cable test, you'll see all 5 cables that are selected. Now if I want to add 5 more cables, and let's say I want to have a different cable type, and maybe I'm doing Cat 6A, so you can see that the green is what was selected, so now I'm going to set that to my current type. Now you can see that this is turned to green, and that's what's selected. We're going to go back to cable labeling. We're going to start with cable ID 6, and we're going to add 5 more labels. All right. So we'll go to the cable test, and then you'll see all 10 cables are ready to be tested. So we'll go up to cable number 1, and let me get the remote part of the NetXpert XG, and we'll run the first test. So we're going to run our first cable test. So I'm going to run the Cat 6A cable test first, because that's the cable that I have right now. So I'm going to plug the cable into the local unit and to my remote unit, and I'm going to hit test. So now it's running through the test. It's doing a wire map test, length of cable test. It's going to look for miswires, shorts, opens. It's doing a BERT test, so it's actually sending a gigabit of bits through the cable per second and counting those and looking for errors at the remote end of the cable. So it's actually doing a real throughput test. It's also doing a signal to noise ratio test and delay skew. All right, and it passed the test. So it runs all the tests and then gives you a summary whether it passes or fails. So now you can see the results here. You can see the wire map, you can see the length of the cable, it tells you the status, it gives you the parameters for skew and signal to noise ratio, and also tells us that we had 0 bit error rate test errors. So when you're ready to test the next cable, just select the next test in the list and you hit test. So it's pretty simple just to go down through your cable lists and complete your project.